I got addicted to card games again. Now I know what you're thinking, this man is wasting his time literally playing a children's card game. And yes, I am. I've always liked card games, whether they be single player or PvP, and recently I've kind of been fascinated with them again. I've been spending a lot of time playing these games, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it for a little bit. I guess my recent card game fascination started up again in the beta of Marvel Snap, the tail end of 2022. I really like Marvel Snap. I reached the highest rank Infinite a couple of times. The game is very simple. I enjoyed it for a while. I love the customization and the different variants, but the progression in the game is kind of dookie. Over the course of Marvel Snap's lifetime, which is very short, the way you acquire cards and the way you get progression currencies has changed like 4 or 5 times. In the beta, they tried to introduce some kind of gacha system which people didn't like, so they got rid of that and gave you guaranteed cards to pick from. And then they went right back to the gacha system with spotlight caches, and the card collecting for this game is kind of just all over the place. You get one guaranteed card from the monthly season pass, which is $10, but from the resources, from gold and credits, you progress your level, which every 30 levels gives you a key, and then every week this chest changes and you gotta put the key in the chest, and you have a 1 out of 4 chance to get something, one of those being a new card. And if you don't hit that 1 in 4, you get a variant, which could either be cool or dookie, or you can roll a duplicate for some ungodly reason. I don't know why they decided to do that. It's fucking absurd. I'm so conflicted on the game because I love the gameplay, I love the cards. Has some of the nicest looking customization in any of these card games, and it's still young. There's still a lot of space for this game to grow. Like, at a baseline, card games are very monetized out the ass. Marvel Snap, though, it goes out of its way to be convoluted, and to progress as efficiently as possible, you have to keep track of like leaked bundles and progression bundles and all this stupid shit. Recently, I haven't been playing this game as much because I don't know, I just got pretty bored of it. I've played pretty much every archetype. I mean, I like the game, but I'm just pretty burnt out on it at this point. Recently, I started playing Hearthstone. Back when I was in high school, played a lot of Hearthstone. It was definitely novel at the time. I had never played a game like it before, and the quality of the game was just really good. Even with some of the shitty things surrounding Hearthstone, which I'm gonna discuss later, I can't really deny that the general feel of Hearthstone and the gameplay is really fun. So I've been on and off Hearthstone for a while, but this last few months I got back into playing Battlegrounds, which is a new genre of card game that's actually really fun. It's like a round-based draft kind of mode where you pick minions you want to put on your board, and then they auto battle against other players' boards, and then you get more money, you get more synergies and all that. It's a really fun game mode, and it actually stemmed off of the Dota auto chess craze that happened a few years ago that I'm actually surprised is kind of done. We saw a lot of clones come from that mod release, even one made by Valve, and that game is dead. And the only auto battlers that are super popular right now is Hearthstone and League of Legends. There are some really good indie ones too, like Super Auto Pets, and this other one called Backpack Battles, which only has a demo and is out in a few weeks. If you play Hearthstone Battlegrounds or Teamfight Tactics, I would really try out Super Auto Pets. It's pretty chill because there's no turn timer, but it's surprisingly in-depth. They have packs that you can buy to play certain metas, or you can just play the random weekly pack, which is always fun to kind of solve. I'm so bad at this fucking game though. And that was the only thing I was playing for a while. I wasn't opening packs, I wasn't playing the constructed game mode, which is like the main point of playing a card game, up until this last expansion. Maybe about a month ago, I noticed my friends playing Hearthstone and I was vaguely interested. I decided to open up my fucking huge collection of packs and make a deck. I think the timing of this and getting a bit bored after a year of Marvel Snap really made me dive right into playing ranked Hearthstone. Now, something I noticed instantly when I started playing ranked standard was there's so many fucking bots. Pretty much from the lowest rank to diamonds, it was either Blizzard bots or these player run bots, which play the worst deck imaginable and just exist to get gold and XP so that they can sell the account to someone else. Now, I know this game is still really popular, so it's kind of insane to me that there is such a large fucking amount of sludge to get through before you could actually play real games. So that was a bit off-putting, but I did get through it playing Warrior and some Druid, and I did that all the way to Diamond 5. I've been having a really good time playing these different decks because the landscape of this game compared to when I was heavily into it is just insane. So many different effects and keywords and archetypes now that I was having a fun time learning what was going on and what's even happening. And with the catch-up pack mechanic, which gives you a lot of the recent expansions cards if you haven't played in a while, I actually was able to build a deck or two. Now, around this time, I also realized that I had stored up a bunch of arena tickets, which is the draft mode of Hearthstone, and decided to play through all my free passes into arena because usually you have to pay gold into that, which is a currency in the game. And that was kind of hell. Something that I learned about Arena was that a lot of people don't just play whatever they draft. If they draft a shit deck, you pretty much just press retire and then draft a new deck. Me, I'm stubborn and I have that itch. Like, what if I win? What if I win though? What if I win? I do really like the idea of drafting a deck and playing against other drafted decks, but the swing factor in Arena is pretty fucking insane. So I went through that just to get some free packs, and since I was Diamond 5, I decided to try to push for Legend, which if you don't know what Legend is, it's like the gamer rank of Hearthstone. It's the highest rank you can get, and then you're put onto a ladder where you're assigned a number, and that's pretty much your position on the ladder. I was there when the mini set dropped, which printed some absolutely busted cards. I mean, I spammed this Paladin deck, which was hovering around like a 65% win rate in the top ranks, and after about 60 games of Paladin, I actually hit Legends for the first time. I never really took this game that seriously before. I usually liked playing meme decks. One of my favorites back then was playing Yogg Saron, which casts random spells, and I gotta say, I kind of enjoyed it. There were definitely moments where I just got absolutely tilted, and after a certain point I realized like I'm sitting at a positive win rate still. If I just play enough, I'll hit Legends, and I did. Now I kind of feel like hitting Legend now was a bit easier. You know, there's so many fucking bots. There's something about Hearthstone and card games in general that really itches the gambling RNG part of my brain. Because I mean, inherently card games are gambling. You know, in certain matchups, certain hands are better, and you play your outs as best as you can to see if you can win. Now, some games are definitely not winnable depending on how well you draw or how well your opponent draws, but I mean, that's just a card game. It's unironically addicting. Like, I would lose 3 games in a row and I'd be like, I really just want to fucking play another game. It's also kind of why I like roguelikes so much. I've recently been playing the demo for Balatro, which is a poker roguelike, which even leans more into the gambling aspect, but there's something about wanting to get a good run, wanting to like hit the high roll that is so addicting and fun. It's fun. Roguelike deck builders are really fun, and I've been playing them forever since like Slay the Spire and other games in that genre, so it makes sense that I'd eventually return to a game like Hearthstone. Especially in this game, there's so many different ways to play your outs with upgrading different hands or getting different modifiers for your deck. You get a lot of options in this game. You get the Joker cards, which are like passive skills that affect your multiplier. Each round you have a score you have to reach, and you have to play hands and use your discards to get the highest score possible. Each card is worth a certain amount of chips, and you get multipliers from cards like Jokers or other modifiers like tarot cards or planet cards, which upgrade your different hands. It's so good. It's so good. And I'm so bad at it. Compared to other scores I've seen, I'm ass at this, but I really like the idea of it and trying to get a certain build going. I'm just that kind of person in these roguelikes and card games where I want to try to get the nuts. There's different modifiers for the Jokers and the playing cards. You can open up packs, which, I mean, that animation is just juicy. This newest demo that just released recently has been a lot of fun. I actually can't wait to see the full version of this game. I also played a bit of Legends of Runeterra. Yeah, that was some bad timing to try to play some of that. It's a League of Legends based card game that is very, very generous. I have Xbox Game Pass and they just gave me like fucking 3 billion cards as soon as I started the game. And I made a couple decks and played a bit of the PvP. I think the main filter of this game is whether or not you like how interactive it is between the two players. The way the turn system works in this game is that you do something and then your opponent can respond, and then you do something and your opponent can respond, and then the round changes and then your opponent does something and you can respond, and yada yada. I've seen it compared to Magic. I've never played it, but it's definitely interesting for a card game to work that way. As someone who's only played Hearthstone, it's a lot harder, and there's a lot more to think about usually. Not to say that Hearthstone doesn't have some interactivity. Runeterra is definitely a lot more complicated. I only tried out a couple decks here because my favorite character from League of Legends is in here, which is Bard, this funny little guy. But I actually had a lot of fun with their PvE mode called Path of Champions. Now, Path of Champions is set up kind of like Slay the Spire, where you pick a starter character which has their own starting deck, and then you travel through a map of different branching paths, fighting bosses, going through different encounters, and eventually trying to beat the boss at the end of the map. Now, I was enjoying this because there's a lot of more wacky modifiers that are in play, whether it's relics you can put on your cards, which make them work differently, or leveling up your champions, which lets you get more abilities and more relics. Because it has this multiplayer card game as a basis, there's more progression in this game than something like Slay the Spire. That can be seen as a downside to some people because you don't have as much content at the start. There's a lot of champions to pick from, and leveling them all up and beating the hardest content is like the main objective of this game. I haven't done that much because I'm kind of just spamming my favorite character instead of playing the best ones for the certain missions that I'm on. But I know there's weekly challenges and monthly challenges and stuff to grind for, which is actually pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, the future of Runeterra has recently been called into question with a huge amount of layoffs in the gaming industry recently. At the start of this year, Riot Games announced a huge wave of layoffs for their other development teams that were making spin-off games, and Runeterra kind of posted a vague message about slowing down support on PvP and only moving forward with Path of Champions. I don't know anything about the landscape of Runeterra's meta or player base, but it's kind of wild to me that the PvE mode is the one that's getting focused and might be more popular. The thing about Runeterra is that it's insanely generous with how you collect cards. Missions, challenges, and progression tracks give you a bunch of random cards. You don't even buy packs. You just earn these cards from playing the game, and you even earn wild cards, which lets you just straight up make one of whatever you want. If you get a champion wild card, you can just instantly make it. When I realized that, I was kind of dumbfounded. An online card game actively minimizing the amount of RNG it takes to make a meta-ready deck is really unheard of. But I guess they focus most of their monetization on card skins, hero skins, other stuff you can change on your board. Unfortunately, I don't think the monetization kind of worked. You can see a cosmetic-focused monetization in Marvel Snap with the massive amounts of variance in that game, and whales can buy these fat fucking bundles. But that game was built for mobile, and I think it achieves that kind of monetization a lot better than something like Runeterra. I don't know much about this game's mobile audience, but I just know it's not as big. I mean, that's a bit unfortunate because I really wish card games could be more accessible and cheaper, and the fact that Riot Games, a company that makes fucking billions of dollars off of Valorant skins and League of Legends bundles and all this other bullshit, can't just keep the Runeterra team going regardless of monetary value that's generating. But yeah, capitalism as always. And even more news of layoffs today. It really sucks to see. You know, when people who make games I like are fucking affected and mistreated like this, even though companies like Microsoft are hitting $1 trillion market value caps, it's just pretty disgusting, I can't lie. And I am getting a bit sidetracked from the point of this video, but I really hope we can get to the point where game development is slowed down and impossible revenue goals aren't set on developers so that they don't have to fucking crunch and push out half-baked games. There's a lot of stuff that actively gets canceled by higher-ups that people would really enjoy for games, like Overwatch and other stuff like that. I don't want to fucking get into Overwatch, but yeah, whatever. So yeah, those were a bunch of card games or card game adjacent games I've been playing. Hopefully that was a digestible video. If you liked it, please subscribe or join the channel as a member. Hope you have a good day. Bye.